There's a quiet intensity to a Scorpio that demands your full attention, a magnetic pull born of depths most people never learn to probe. They operate in the shadows of emotion and memory, carrying truths they don't share lightly and insights they rarely volunteer. When you cross a Scorpio, you're not just disappointing someone who trusted you, you're breaching a pact sealed in the secret chambers of their soul. Born between October 23 and November 21 and ruled by Pluto, the planet of transformation and power, Scorpios understand the undercurrents of human nature in a way few signs can. They feel every slight, every betrayal, as if it were a personal wound, and they remember it long after everyone else has moved on. Crossing a Scorpio isn't simply a mistake, you set in motion forces that will outlast your regret. In this exploration of 18 reasons why betraying a Scorpio is a choice you'll come to rue, we'll illuminate the fierce loyalty they extend to those they love and the depth of emotion they harbor beneath a composed facade. We'll examine how their sharp intuition uncovers your secrets, how their strategic minds chart the course of justice when you least expect it, and how their silence after a betrayal can echo louder than any confrontation. You'll discover why they protect their own with an almost sacred devotion, why they forgive sparingly and never forget fully, and why losing a Scorpio's trust means sacrificing a bond few ever earn. As we unpack each reason over the next 40 minutes, keep in mind that Scorpios represent transformation itself. They teach us what it means to endure hardship, to seek truth, and to harness the power within our darkest moments. Betraying a Scorpio is more than a personal error, it's a brush with the elemental force of emotional gravity that they embody. You will come to see that their loyalty, once broken, doesn't simply vanish, it transforms into a haunting memory and a warning to never underestimate the strength they wield. So listen closely and consider each facet of the Scorpio spirit we reveal, the unwavering allegiance they give, the razor-sharp perception they wield, the enduring ramifications of crossing them. By the end of this journey, you'll understand not only why betraying a Scorpio is a mistake you'll regret but also why it's a profound lesson in the consequences of wounding a heart that beats with the relentless power of the phoenix rising from its own ashes. Let's begin with the first truth about Scorpio loyalty: they love with unmatched depth. 1. They love with unmatched depth. Scorpios don't just love, they plunge into the abyss of emotion with a fervor few signs can replicate. Their affections aren't casual or fleeting, once they decide you deserve their heart, they commit wholly and without reservation. They aren't content to skim the surface of a relationship. Instead, they seek to understand the hidden currents that drive your desires, the unspoken fears you keep locked away, and the dreams you don't even admit to yourself. In their eyes, shallow intimacy holds no appeal. They want to merge with your soul, to forge a bond so potent that it can endure betrayal because it was built from the raw essence of genuine connection. When a Scorpio loves, they do so with every fiber of their being, relinquishing control and surrendering to vulnerability, even though it terrifies them. This depth of passion manifests in gestures that feel profound, a late-night conversation about your deepest anxieties, a spontaneous act of devotion when you least expect it, a protective presence that envelopes you in a cocoon of unwavering support. To be loved by a Scorpio is to be known completely, and it is precisely that radical intimacy, the willingness to reveal one's shadows alongside the light, that makes their devotion both exhilarating and, to some, daunting. Betray that love and you shatter more than a promise, you fracture the sacred trust of two souls laid bare before one another. 2. They remember every tiny detail. Once a Scorpio registers a moment in time, it is etched indelibly in their mind, stored away for safekeeping and ready to surface when the occasion demands. You might mention in passing that green is your favorite color, only to see a small gift weeks later chosen in your exact shade of emerald. They recall the precise words you spoke in a moment of vulnerability and store them in the vault of their memories, using them later to comfort you or, if you betray them, to remind you of the pain you caused. They notice the slightest shift in tone, the hesitation before you tell a story, the tremor in your voice when you recount a difficult day, the way your eyes linger on something that interests you. While others forget the mundane, Scorpios archive every nuance as though cataloging evidence. This meticulous memory serves as both a testament to their devotion and a weapon if trust is broken. They won't need to call you out on a lie, you'll be confronted with details you forgot you ever shared, held to account by the precision of their recall. In friendship and love, this trait feels like a gift. You are seen, comprehended, and cherished in all your complexity. Yet crossed Scorpios wield their memory like a blade, slicing through your defenses to expose every misstep with unerring accuracy. 3. Their loyalty runs fierce and true. Loyalty for a Scorpio is not an abstract ideal, it is a binding covenant sealed by the fire of their elemental nature. Once they pledge allegiance, to a partner, a friend, a family member, they become your fiercest champion, ready to confront any adversary, defend any cause, and sacrifice any comfort to ensure your well-being. Their loyalty is a potent force that thrives on intensity, refusing to waver in the face of adversity. They track your triumphs with proud affection, celebrating your victories as if they were their own, and bear the weight of your defeats with equal gravity, determined to help you rise again. This steadfast devotion often manifests in grand gestures, standing between you and unfair criticism, intercepting gossip before it reaches your ears, offering unwavering support even when the rest of the world turns away. Their fierce allegiance can feel like a shielded sanctuary, a space where you can be your most authentic self without fear of abandonment. Yet, if you betray that loyalty, you discover its other edge, a relentless refusal to forget the betrayal, a cold distance that grows thicker with each passing day. Their loyalty may have drawn you close, but once broken, it becomes an impenetrable barrier, marking you forever as someone who squandered a trust that few others could ever earn. 4. They feel every emotion intensely. Scorpios exist on an emotional spectrum where every feeling is magnified, every sensation amplified. Happiness for them is ecstasy, a surge of warmth that courses through mind and body, making laughter feel like a sacred ritual. Conversely, pain is searing, a torrent of raw hurt that refuses to be ignored or minimized. They approach life with a depth of feeling that borders on the primal, experiencing joy, sorrow, anger, and love in vivid color and visceral resonance. This intensity fuels their creativity, their determination, and their capacity for empathy, enabling them to connect with others at a soul-to-soul level. When you share your own emotions with a Scorpio, you feel validated, understood, and held in a space of profound compassion. However, their emotional intensity can also become a crucible when trust is broken. The betrayal doesn't merely sting, they endure it as a blow to their very essence, a wound that pulses with remembered pain. They don't easily move on because to them, healing requires time to process every facet of the hurt. Their fierce emotional currents may ebb with forgiveness, but the scars remain beneath the surface, a constant reminder of what was lost and why you'll regret the choice to betray them. 5. They protect their own with everything. To provoke the protective instinct of a Scorpio is to unleash a force as unstoppable as a tidal wave. When they deem someone worthy of their guardianship, they take on the mantle of sentinel, vigilantly watching for any threat, real or perceived, to that relationship. They possess a near-instinctual antenna for danger, detecting subtle shifts in energy and intercepting harm before it reaches their loved ones. Their protectiveness can be fierce, they confront bullies, defuse volatile situations, and stand in the gap when others hesitate. They invest every ounce of their willpower into safeguarding those they cherish, sometimes at great personal cost, and rarely expect gratitude beyond knowing they fulfilled their duty. Their loyalty and protectiveness combine to create an unbreakable bond, a pact of safety that transforms ordinary connections into lifelines. Should you betray that bond, you realize the full magnitude of what you have lost, a defender who would have stood by your side through life's darkest storms. Without them, you face the world without their vigilant eye, their unyielding strength, and their uncompromising commitment to your safety. That absence becomes a void you can't refill, a testament to the price you pay for severing ties with someone who would have given their all to protect you. 6. They don't forgive lightly. When a Scorpio's trust is broken, forgiveness is not an immediate reaction but a painstaking process that unfolds on their own terms and timeline. They don't rush to absolve you, because they know the weight of betrayal and refuse to minimize its impact with hollow apologies. Instead, they retreat inward, carefully assessing whether your remorse aligns with genuine understanding and changed behavior. A Scorpio will test your consistency, watch for repeated patterns, and only consider forgiveness when they believe your actions reflect true transformation. They guard their hearts so fiercely that offering pardon feels like handing over a piece of their soul, and they will not do so lightly. Even if they choose to forgive, they rarely forget the reasons that led them there in the first place. Every lapse, every tear they shed, remains etched in their memory as a cautionary tale, proof that trust is fragile and must be handled with reverence. Understanding this solemn approach to reconciliation is vital. Cross a Scorpio, and you're not just asking for forgiveness, you're asking to be worthy of it, knowing full well that it might never come. 7. They know your weaknesses better than you. Scorpios possess an uncanny ability to see into the crevices of your psyche, sensing insecurities you've worked hard to conceal. They pay attention to your reactions in moments of stress and the ways you try to shield vulnerability, then catalog these observations in the library of their mind. Over time, they piece together a detailed map of your emotional architecture, understanding which fears drive you and which aspirations inspire you. This intimate knowledge is not shared lightly, it is a testament to the depth of their perception and the intensity of their attention. If you betray them, they don't need your words to gauge how you'll respond, they already know your triggers and can anticipate your next move. This mastery of your weak points gives them an invisible advantage, a form of emotional intelligence that both awes and unnerves. In relationships built on trust, this trait becomes a source of comfort, because you feel truly seen. Yet in the aftermath of betrayal, it becomes a reminder that the person you wronged carries the keys to your most private vulnerabilities. 8. Their intuition is uncanny. Scorpio intuition isn't the fleeting hunch most people experience, it's a deep current of insight that surfaces with remarkable precision. They catch subtleties in body language, tonal shifts, and unspoken gestures that escape ordinary perception. Rather than relying solely on logic, they blend observable facts with an instinctual knowing that often feels preternatural. You might think you've hidden your true feelings behind a carefully crafted facade, but they sense the dissonance between your outer behavior and your inner state. Their gut feelings are honed by years of observing human nature in its rawest forms, and they rarely lead them astray. This intuitive radar guides their decisions in love, friendship, and conflict, helping them navigate complex situations with an almost prophetic clarity. When you betray a Scorpio, their intuition flags every inconsistency, every false explanation, until the full truth emerges. What seems like an innocent omission to you becomes, in their eyes, a glaring omission of loyalty. And because they trust their inner knowing above all else, they don't need irrefutable evidence to confirm betrayal, they feel it in every fiber of their being. 9. They observe in silence, absorbing every clue. A Scorpio's silent observation is far from passive, it is an active, deliberate act of gathering intelligence. They sit back in conversations, letting others speak freely while they take mental notes on inconsistencies, half-truths, and unspoken motives. They notice the smallest details, a nervous glance, a slipped phrase, a hesitation before an answer. In this state of watchful stillness, they compile a dossier of evidence, waiting patiently for patterns to reveal themselves. They don't confront you immediately, because they prefer to see the full picture before taking action. This silent absorption allows them to chart the course of your behavior over time, distinguishing between genuine mistakes and calculated deception. When they finally choose to break their silence, they do so with pinpoint accuracy, presenting the evidence they've gathered in a way that leaves no room for denial. Their calm, unassuming posture only makes the reveal more shocking, because while you were busy talking, they were busy proving that betrayal is never hidden from their vigilant gaze. 10. They plan their moves, then execute. Scorpios are master strategists who rarely act on impulse, especially when it comes to matters of betrayal and retribution. Instead, they meticulously plan their response, charting each step with the precision of a chess grandmaster. They consider timing, anticipate your reactions, and prepare contingencies that ensure their strategy unfolds exactly as intended. Whether they choose to confront you, walk away, or engineer a situation that forces you to confront your actions, they do so deliberately, with a clear objective in mind. Their moves are seldom public spectacles, they prefer the quiet satisfaction of seeing their plan succeed without drawing unnecessary attention. When you realize you've been outmaneuvered, it's already too late, the game has ended, and you're left to reckon with the consequences. This calculated approach to justice underscores their refusal to let betrayal slide. They ensure that every action taken serves a purpose, whether it restores balance, protects their boundaries, or simply teaches a lesson you'll never forget. Their execution may be silent, but its impact resonates loudly in the aftermath of their final, decisive move. 11. You'll miss their fierce support. When life's challenges feel insurmountable, having a Scorpio in your corner can feel like wielding a secret weapon forged from pure determination and unwavering faith in your potential. They don't offer tepid encouragement or half-hearted cheers. They stand beside you with the force of their entire being, eyes blazing with conviction that you can overcome any obstacle. Whether you're navigating a personal crisis or chasing a lofty dream, they invest emotional energy as if your victory were their own, pushing you beyond self-doubt, offering candid advice when you waver, and celebrating every milestone with a fervor that reignites your own motivation. This kind of fierce support becomes woven into your confidence, a steady undercurrent that carries you through rough seas. Without it, you find yourself questioning your capabilities, wondering if you're strong enough to stand alone. You start to realize how much you relied on their tenacity to bolster your resolve, how their certainty in you shaped your own self-belief. Once that bond is severed by betrayal, you feel an echoing void where their encouragement once resided, and you face every new challenge with a sense of isolation you never anticipated. Their absence turns what once felt achievable into daunting peaks, reminding you that you traded a champion's presence for fleeting impulse, and you'll regret it every time you need that fierce ally and find them gone. 12. They lift you up, then cut you loose. A Scorpio's commitment to your growth is matched only by their ruthlessness toward threats to their own integrity. In the early chapters of your bond, they pour themselves into lifting you higher, mentoring you, defending you, guiding you through pitfalls with unflinching honesty. They celebrate your victories and cushion your falls, treating your journey as their own sacred mission. Yet, if you betray their trust, there is a moment when the very strength that once propelled you becomes the mechanism of your release. They don't dramatize their departure with fanfare, they simply disengage the support systems they constructed around you. One day, you find their encouraging messages unanswered, their mentorship withdrawn, their protective interventions absent. This shift isn't abrupt vengeance but a deliberate act of self-preservation. They recognize that rebinding themselves to someone who violated their core values only perpetuates the pain. The same force that powered your ascent now becomes the lever they use to cut ties. You're left wondering what happened, replaying memories of their unwavering devotion until the betrayal emerges in stark relief. Their departure is not just a loss, it's a lesson in the price of misuse, demonstrating that while their support could have elevated you to heights you never imagined, they will never hesitate to step away when you prove unworthy of the trust that fueled your climb. 13. You lose their unbreakable protection. A Scorpio's protective instinct is legendary. They surround you with a shield of fierce loyalty that repels negativity and danger before it reaches you. They sense threats in the background, anticipate negative intentions, and intercept harm with preemptive action. To lose that shield is to expose yourself to the raw elements of life without the safeguard you once took for granted. You'll soon notice how criticism that once bounced off their vigilant defense now sinks in, how unfair judgments from others cut deeper, and how stressful situations that felt manageable when you had their vigilance become sources of overwhelming anxiety. Their protection wasn't merely about intervening in overt conflicts, it was subtle, woven into the very fabric of your environment. They monitored paychecks, networked for opportunities on your behalf, and stood guard over your reputation in ways you might never have noticed until it was gone. Without that vigilant presence, you feel adrift, vulnerable, and acutely aware of all the ways you once relied on their watchful guardianship. Their retreat leaves you not only unprotected but also regretful that you discarded an ally whose sole purpose was to keep you safe. 14. They rewrite your story in their mind. Scorpios craft personal narratives with an uncanny precision, weaving the threads of your shared history into an internal story that shapes their perception of you and guides their actions moving forward. When you betray them, that story morphs from one of loyalty and mutual respect into a cautionary tale of broken promises and violated trust. Every fond memory becomes tinged with the awareness of your betrayal, casting shadows over once bright moments. In their mind, the events of your past realign, and the narrative lens shifts to highlight your misdeeds alongside your virtues. This internal rewriting doesn't merely affect how they think of you, it changes your place in their universe. Where you once stood as a trusted confidant, you now occupy the role of a lesson learned too late. The chapters of your companionship get reissued with footnotes of betrayal, and any future mentions of your name summon echoes of that fracture. You might not witness this transformation directly, but you'll sense its effects in the coldness of their greetings, the hesitation in their conversations, and the emotional distance that replaces familiar warmth. Their revision of your shared story is a powerful reminder that your actions not only break trust in the moment but also alter the narrative they carry in their heart forever. 15. Their silence will haunt you. After the storm of confrontation has passed, what lingers is the silence of a Scorpio who has withdrawn their presence completely. This silence is not absence alone but a weighty void filled with unspoken reproach and unvoiced questions. They won't contact you, won't respond to your messages, and won't offer any closure, because to them, silence is more potent than words. In the hush, you replay conversations, wondering if an apology could pierce their impenetrable calm or if a heartfelt gesture might coax a response. Every unanswered call becomes a reminder of the gulf you created, and each moment of solitude reinforces the permanence of their retreat. The quiet transforms into a specter that follows you into other relationships and interactions, a constant echo of what once was and what you lost. You'll find yourself looking over your shoulder, half expecting them to be there, only to feel the empty space beside you that once held their fierce presence. That haunting silence carries more sorrow than any angry words could, for it speaks of rejection without opportunity for redemption. It is the final testament to the power you forfeited, and its echo is the regret you'll carry long after other wounds have healed. 16. They invoke justice, karma on overdrive. When you betray a Scorpio, you set in motion a force that feels almost elemental, as if the universe itself conspires to balance the scales. Scorpios don't simply hope for consequences, they become conduits for karmic justice, aligning circumstance, timing, and influence to ensure you face the fallout of your actions. They might withdraw support, but they also quietly leverage connections, share subtle truths with those in power, or allow natural consequences to unfold unimpeded. They understand that vengeance is not about petty retaliation but restoring equilibrium. In friendship or business, they'll watch as opportunities you once enjoyed become elusive, reputations tarnish, or circumstances shift until you feel the bite of your misdeed. This unfolding justice isn't always dramatic, often it's the slow unraveling of privileges you took for granted, a series of setbacks that remind you of the cost of broken trust. What makes it feel supernatural is their patience and restraint. They let karma unfold in its own time, trusting that natural forces and their own quiet interventions will exact repayment. By the time you recognize the pattern, you realize that betraying a Scorpio isn't just a lapse in judgment, it's an invitation to an unrelenting force of cosmic balance that they personify, and you'll come to regret having provoked it. 17. They transform betrayal into personal power. A Scorpio doesn't allow betrayal to diminish them, instead, they mine it for strength, turning pain into personal power that radiates in every aspect of their life. They absorb the sting of deceit, examine the vulnerabilities it exposed, and then forge themselves into someone more formidable. They use the lessons learned to sharpen their resolve, heighten their intuition, and deepen their self-awareness. In the aftermath, you witness a Scorpio who appears unbreakable, as if the very act of betrayal acted like heat in a forge, tempering their spirit into resilience. They might change careers, build new alliances, or cultivate talents you never knew they had, each step a testament to their ability to transcend hurt. Their transformation is not motivated by bitterness but by a fierce commitment to self-improvement and autonomy. When you betrayed them, you handed them the raw material of growth, unaware that they would repurpose it into an even stronger foundation for success. Watching them rise becomes a daily reminder that the power you tried to steal through your actions only ended up fueling their ascent, leaving you to confront the irony that your betrayal empowered someone you hoped to undermine. 18. Only they can reveal your hidden truths. Scorpios possess an uncanny talent for unearthing secrets you've buried deep within yourself, flaws you've masked, regrets you've silenced, desires you've never voiced. Their insight is so profound that merely crossing them invites exposure of your most private vulnerabilities. They remember the inconsistencies in your stories, the gaps in your explanations, and the moments when your true feelings slipped through your facade. In time, they may choose to reveal these truths to you or, more devastatingly, to others whose opinions matter. Their disclosures are not gossip but calculated reminders of why you broke their trust, delivered with a precision that cuts to the core. This power over your hidden self becomes a shield they wield deftly. You know they could expose your secrets whenever they chose, and that knowledge stays with you long after they've spoken. The fear of having your innermost truths revealed creates a lasting tension, a constant awareness that only a Scorpio holds the keys to your most private chamber. Betraying them awakens this latent power, and you'll live with the dread that your hidden self could be laid bare at their discretion. Betraying a Scorpio is not a simple misstep but a seismic shift in the landscape of your life. You lose a companion whose loyalty was fierce, a guardian whose protection was steadfast, and an ally whose intuition felt like psychic counsel. Instead of fading quietly, they become a force, driving karmic restitution, building unshakable personal power, and holding the keys to truths you thought buried forever. Their silence becomes a haunting echo, their presence a measure of what you once possessed and threw away. If you ever doubted the depths of human intensity, let the lessons of crossing a Scorpio serve as an indelible testament. They transform every betrayal into a catalyst for their own growth and your lasting regret. Scorpio isn't just another sign, they are a living lesson in the gravity of trust and the enduring consequences of wounding a heart that refuses to forget.